Hey everybody, we are back with a very special episode today. My name is Heather Daye.
And I'm Allison.
Hey. Some people call her Allie, you know. Some people say Allison, whatever you want to say.
Yeah.
But we're so happy to have Allie back today because she is such a great person to turn to for just very rich, you know, opinions. They're just special and they're one of a kind. And we want to talk about something that's very heavy today. But first, I want to start off with my dramatic but valid thoughts. It's my opinion that everybody should have free dental insurance because we all have teeth. And I don't think that rich people should have great white teeth. I think that everyone should have beautiful pearly whites, and it shouldn't be something you have to come so deep out of pocket for, because I deserve to get my teeth cleaned for a cheap rate as well. Do you know what I mean? And I'm really offended by it, and my feelings are hurt. And this is just a part of adulting. This is that 25 and older club where it's like life is just very hard.
Yeah, I agree. I've never understood why they needed to separate medical from dental and vision. It's like my eye, my dental health.
Yeah.
That's also like, and I was talking to someone a while ago who is a dentist or orthodontist, and they spoke about how your teeth or your dental health is also related to your heart health. I did not even know that. Like the grinding of the teeth. Obviously, I don't know what I'm talking about.
Like anxiety.
But and all of that stuff.
You have anxiety and then you grind your teeth?
Why would you separate that? Why would you tell me I have medical insurance? But then when I go to the dentist, it's like, oh, girl.
Go get somebody else to do it.
Yes.
And I'm saying that because if you really know me and you really, really love me, you would notice that one side of my face is a little bit puffier than the other side. So it's because my wisdom tooth needs to be pulled and I have an infection. Ew. But yes, so I'm really going through it. I never had to get my wisdom teeth pulled. If you've gotten your wisdom teeth pulled, let us know in the comments below. And something we're doing moving forward is commenting on this podcast, okay? I want these comments to flow. Talk to us.
Talk to us.
Engage with us.
Talk
because we're talking to you.
Yes.
So don't be scared.
And we do wanna interact. I mean, look at me saying we. I'm an invited guest.
She's gonna be a reoccurring guest. She's like a specialist.
A season regular.
Yes.
Have I been upgraded to season regular?
Yeah.
Thank you. I love it.
We are going to move right along to this very important topic that we wanted to talk to you about and present to you in a timely fashion. This is something that a lot of people obviously have been talking about around the world. I think almost at this point. It's the story of Tyre Nichols. And I don't know about you, but I was very reluctant to watching this video. I recently watched the 20-minute version that came out, and I know that there's an extended version that was released to the public as well. Have you watched the video?
No.
No.
No, I haven't been able to bring myself to see it. It's been so heavy.
Intergenerational trauma. And that's something that I think a lot of people, Black people, people of color also can relate to, but specifically Black people can relate to because it's generation by generation having these kind of like PTSD, like feelings, having seen other Black people killed because of racism. And it's kind of like your own, when is this going to happen to me? Or when is this going to happen to my dad? Or when is this going to happen to my brothers? Or when is this going to happen to my boyfriend? Or when is it going to happen to my girlfriends or my mom? Or
it also informs how we move through the world, you know? It takes away our ability to just be. You know, the hypervigilance when you're in certain spaces, the hypervigilance when you're stopped by a cop or whatever, the hypervigilance if you're dressed a certain way and people look at you, you know, that you're never able to just put it down. People get flack for employing apathy. But maybe that's a trauma response, man. Maybe that's how people clock out to kind of protect themselves.
Definitely. It's funny because in our first episode, we talked about escapism, for those who've been watching, you know. But we talked about escapism, and almost when you're talking about that, it reminds me of having to like detach or like disassociate because you're coping and it's a coping skill. So when I was younger, I used to be like, no, you have to go through this. You have to watch the video. You have to feel the pain, because I just felt like it's like a responsibility or some kind of like obligation to do so. But now I don't see it that way.
Yeah. And I mean, the flip side of that is sometimes when victims live to tell their story, I feel like it's our responsibility to bear witness, because it already takes so much courage to, you know, talk about that experience for those who have gone through similar things. Seeing those 5 Black officers who were responsible for this, knowing that this was also a unit that was
perpetuating this previously.
Not only that, but a sister, the chief of police, who also started this unit that was, I mean, it's broken window policing, you know.
And what does that mean for
broken policing,
listeners?
Broken window policing? It's like, you know, we are, for us here in New York City, we're very familiar with it. It's when they sick the cops on folks who do low-level things like, you know, dance on the subway.
Loiter,
jaywalk, jump the turnstile, you know, things like that. She deployed the Scorpion units in high crime areas, which turns out to be also predominantly Black communities.
which we're going to get into.
If I hear high crime, I'm also hearing what you're not telling me, that this is probably a community that's been long
Underserved.
forgotten,
Absolutely.
discarded, made to be invisible. And then the answer to that is go get these scorpions on them.
These villains in this story hurt way more to me than Derek Chauvin. When it came down to those 5 officers, it was like a different kind of, I can't even sum it down to like ow or ouch, but it was like, it hurt even more.
I also know that not just that all skin folk ain't kinfolk, I also know that not everyone wants freedom. Some folks just want freedom to be able to hurt other people. They want freedom they want access to the power that the ruling class has.
Access to the power that the ruling class has. So for someone who's like, ruling class, that's a little extreme. That's a little dramatic. What do you mean by ruling class?
The white man. The white man.
Another term that kind of came out, I feel like, after George Floyd was internalized racism. That was a really good term for me to hear, because when a group is constantly experiencing racism and prejudice, you begin to take that on and perpetuate it within your community, within your family, to children, and the cycle continues.
But see, the thing is, proximity to whiteness ain't never gonna save you.
So there's this definition about proximity to whiteness and also respectability politics in a book in 1993 by Evelyn Brooks. Her last name is Higginbotham. Okay, and it says it's generally defined as what happens when minority and or marginalized groups are told or teach themselves that in order to receive better treatment from the group in power, they must behave better. Which just makes a lot of sense. And it was interesting when I continued to read this article from The Root. They were the interviewer asked, well, if you're saying that people who behave better get treated better, what's really so wrong with that? Right? But the point is that, one, it shifts responsibility away from the perpetrator. So that's when we get into victim blaming.
Look at Michelle Obama. She embodies what it means to be like, you know, a respectable, Black, professional, intelligent woman.
Yeah.
And I mean, she checks all the boxes. And
Absolutely.
look at the rhetoric. Look at how she's been spoken. She's been reduced to an angry Black woman. All she's ever done was speak her truth in the most organic way. And that was still not enough to appease the perpetrators, as you called them earlier. Code switching is hard. And it's, again, pandering to white comfortability.
So code switching, things like straightening your hair for work, things like making sure that you refrain from using certain jargon or slogans. I don't know how to say it, but you know, when you talk in a way with your friends and your family at home in the neighborhood you grew up in, and you change the way that you speak once you get to work, that's like code switching. So just going back to those 5 officers who killed Tyre Nichols, they were under such an intense false sense of security that they really, even to the body cameras that were recording, they knew they were recording. They actually believed that they would be protected by blue.
Ooh. We have seen nary a Blue Lives Matter march.
And when I was watching the videos, obviously the way in which that Tyre was beat was kind of like how, I mean, I can't even think of anyone, any person, any being, any animal who I would do that to. Lifting somebody up who's already basically unconscious to be kicked in the face is like, you guys are losers. You're straight up losers. It was also very corny. I don't understand how tough you feel beating someone up who's unconscious. Get what I'm saying? Also, it's 5 of y'all. I do want to talk about the Black good old boys that decided to pull up and pull out. I don't know if it was cigars or cigarettes. I'm not really sure. It was so interesting. Again, while the cameras are rolling, they're over here basically like rubbing each other's backs and being proud of how great that they did, and without saying it, without calling it out, but going back and forth, while you can clearly tell that these officers are fabricating a story right in front of them.
Yeah. They're
saying like, oh yeah, he pulled for my gun, he reached for my gun. They're making this up as they go, allegedly. This is just my opinion. This has not been proven in any court system or whatever. But it was so fascinating that they really had like, kind of like, you know, when you go out to a party and then after everyone stands around and recaps the night, that's how it felt to me. Yeah. While this man is leaning in and out of consciousness, literally falling over, head gushing, and to disassociate themselves from identifying with him was next level to me. Yeah. Because not only is he a man, doesn't he look like your brother? Don't you have someone at home that looks just like him? I wouldn't want to be with none of y'all. Like, just from a girl's perspective, like, y'all all look whack. Not one person said anything.
Where did you learn that callous disregard for human life?
Let's start at human life before we get into the fact that that was a black person.
Because I'm not even
just like
qualifying anybody's reason to live. Like, you're here. That's your reason. You deserve to be here. You deserve to be safe. You deserve protection.
So this is the other thing. If someone is leaning over, right, after let's just say two men got in a fight, right? And they're even 2 girls, 2 whatever, it's equal. It's a fair fight. Let's pretend. Once a person is unconscious, like that's the part that keeps replaying in my mind. When I think about George Floyd, I think about him laying on that ground and all the graphic details of that. When I think about this, I actually don't think so much of the beating because I probably wasn't really looking because it was a lot. But I think a lot about him sitting there and be unconscious. And at no point did that rattle them.
Can you imagine that being your job? To go out and perpetuate harm in the name of protecting and serving?
So what would you say to people who say it's a hard job? You know, I mean...
It really is. It is. I'm not trying to discount that it's a hard job, but you're expected to do things that you are not equipped to do. Gotta defund this shit, man. There is no reforming it. See, we said, okay, we need to diversify the pool. They did that. You know, and look where we are. Look where we are. it's the callous disregard for human life that gets me all the time when we remove the race portion of it. Like, we have got to think about each other in terms of a collective community way, right? So I feel like this starts in the schools, right? We start pushing people away who have different abilities, who learn in different ways, and they grow up feeling invisible. What if we started pouring into these communities? What if we didn't make it so hard for them to survive? What if they didn't have to live in neighborhoods with food deserts? What if they didn't have to commit crimes of poverty? What if they had access to health care? What if mental health care wasn't criminalized? What if homelessness wasn't criminalized?
I want to get back to this idea of othering people, which you're talking about that people do starting all the way in like grade school. This is my thing. I don't know if it's because I'm empathetic. I don't know if it's because I'm Heather. I don't really know. But if I look at a woman, right? I was looking at a woman. I just came off the subway. Normal lady. She was a white lady. I don't even know what she really looked like. All I knew was that was a woman that was standing in front of me just like me. That's all I knew. She looked like she had a long day, things like that. I don't know. It's so difficult for me not to see a woman and not know, because we're all adults here, not know that she gets her period just like me. I had to bring the period up because we're two girls. You get what I'm saying? So she gets cramps just like me. She needs a pad just like me. She needs a tampon just like me.
But just to insert here, trans men also get periods if they haven't had surgery. So we want to make sure that we're including everyone too, because that's a reality for some human beings, right?
If anyone came before me and said, I think I just came on, I would be like, oh, let me get you some Tylenol. I like Midol, you know, it heals it all right away. And so I just immediately would connect to that person. My point I'm trying to make is how are we disassociating ourselves that deeply? Like, that's really like a tricky one for me to understand.
I don't even have to like you to want you to be okay.
I don't even have to like you to say, oh my God, look.
You need help.
Come, you have... So, yeah, I'm really stuck on that.
Like, I also don't want to see you suffer. I don't want bad things to happen to you. I may have to cuss you out, but I want you to be okay. I want you to be safe. I want you to have what you need to be your best self.
So I guess the answer to my delusional question is that you have to disassociate. So I guess that goes into the system of white supremacy. So it's like an ongoing, almost probably subconscious and conscious system that is we're constantly bombarded with. So it becomes this disassociation that you don't even realize is happening. Did we watch Django? Sometimes I wonder, like, what did we take away from Django? Class? Because what I took away was Samuel L. Jackson's role was crazy. He was tweaking, right?
But that's some of y'all's grandpa.
Grandpa? That's
and your
some
aunts
of y'all
and your
right
uncles.
now. And y'all are only 23 years old.
You know that in order for us to be even whole, we have to dismantle the system that rewards whiteness above all things. Because you are looking around and you are seeing the rewards that comes with whiteness and lightness. And of course you're going to want access. You're going to want access. So of course, you know, people who bleach their skin, they don't hate themselves. They're bleaching it because they know if they're lighter, they get rewarded. They'll get the job.
Absolutely.
They'll get the man. They get treated differently. And we know it.
Which is another perceived benefit of white proximity. Putting lighter skin on a pedestal. It was in 2015. Did y'all know the Dominican Republic announced that the country would be deporting Haitians in an effort to cleanse their population? I didn't know that in 2015. I'm just now finding out about this, but I'm not surprised because of the ongoing battles or hating, because it's giving me very much so hating energy that is always cast onto Haiti. I don't know if you're out there and you don't know, Dominican Republic and Haiti are on the same island. Okay, if you knew that, you're like, yes, Heather, we already know. Yeah. But if you didn't know, That was deep, right? You learn something new every day. Because when I was very little, I did not know that. I didn't know where Puerto Rico was. I didn't know where I'm not gonna lie. I found out where Puerto Rico was 3 years ago. Our perspective on Haiti is a reflection of anti-Blackness. Period. Because it's on the same island as Dominican Republic. There's such a positive opinion about people who are Dominican, such a negative, spooky opinion about Haitian people, and that goes back to our point about anti-Blackness. So going back to Tyre really quickly before we wrap it up about him, just for today, because this is an ongoing story that we will be talking about again. In conclusion, Black people perpetuate anti-Blackness. Brown people perpetuate anti-Blackness. Anyone else who I'm not mentioning perpetuates anti-Blackness. White people perpetuate anti-Blackness. Global anti-Blackness. Yep. It sums it all up for me because it's not like, I don't want people to not be able to connect the dots. What we experience in the United States of America is not oddly, strangely similar to what people experience in India. It's not like so happens to be what is experienced in China, Asia, all these different countries, Brazil, all of the South American countries, or the Caribbean countries. It's not like these things don't have anything to do with one another. They totally do.
So we have to hold ourselves accountable as well. We need to do that. We need to have these hard conversations because we really can't continue like this. We have a fight with white supremacy and racism systemically, institutionally, but we need to have a family talk. We need to come sit down and have a conversation amongst ourselves. But I want to leave you with something. I follow her on Instagram at the Nap Ministry. And she wrote something that I found
Dim the lights, Walter.
Really, that was like a warm hug.
Yeah.
When I saw this on the day the Tyre Nichols video came out, or the morning after, it felt like a warm hug, and I'm going to read it to you guys. I wish us all tight hugs, deep eye contact, long naps, warm blankets, and a community that asks the question, how is your heart? And waits and listens for the answer silently. May the ground under us hold us up with strength, and if we need to collapse into grief, may a soft pillow be there. Listen. That is what I want for me, and that is what I want for you guys. I want you to be okay. I want you to check in with your folks and check in on their hearts. None of this is okay, but in the end, I really believe we're going to be okay.
Amen. And what I want y'all to do is call things out that don't make no goddamn sense. If you see something happening within your community, we y'all just sitting in a room hotboxing together, and someone says something that's anti-Black and the smoke is thick in the air, clear it and say, hey, you, that's anti-Black and you're perpetuating anti-Blackness and I won't stand for it. And then smack him in the face. Just kidding. But, stand up for it. Call it out. Don't be afraid to have these conversations, and also do it so I'm not alone.
Yeah. Or you can also say, I can't believe you're comfortable saying that out loud, and then just walk away. So let them go sit with it and go research it. Because you know what? Having to lecture folks on racism and how harmful it is emotional labor. And we stop working for free. So, yeah.
Yep, and down to the teeny little things. Even when they say, look at this or look at that. Say, that looks anti-Black. Just smack him.
But don't do anything that puts you in harm's way.
True. Yeah. I'm just kidding, guys. Y'all would never do that. All right. Thank you so much for listening to this very special live event from Dramatic But Valid.
From Dramatic But Valid. Thank you so much for having me back, Heather. This was so much fun. It was a heavy topic.
It was. But we started off twitching.
Yeah.
But
But
we're
I'm so
feeling a little
happy
better.
that we created a safe space to unpack some really hard stuff. And I hope you guys found it helpful too.
Amen. And
Love you, miss you.
make sure you comment, rate,
And leave a review.
subscribe, and all
And
that.
share.
And share it.
Yeah.
Send it to mad people. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching you.
Yeah.
You don't want no problems with me. All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Bye. Love you, miss you.
Period.